How are you oriented today? Are you looking towards the past, the present, or the future? Well, your very orientation of how you see your future will determine the very success and how you create a compelling future ahead. Well, my name is Jedi and I'm from Coaching Changes Lives, Master Certified Coach with the International Coaching Federation. Really excited to be sharing with you a very powerful truth on Puture. Puture, it's the future possibilities. So if you're new to our channel, do hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to stay tuned with all the latest updates that we have for you. Well, one of the things that many people have asked me is, hey Jedi, are there great contents that are out there on YouTube, on all the different channels that can really help me improve my conversation? Well, the good news is this. Conversations, it's what really matters. The mastery of the conversation will help you enhance the way you communicate, the way you build relationships, and the way you lead your teams. I often say this, that coaching, it's conversational mastery. I say that again, coaching is conversational mastery. And to that degree you have that is the degree you can experience a great breakthrough in your life. Well, today I want to share with you in part 2 of this episode on how your very orientation will determine how you move forward. Your very orientation will determine your progression. Something really excited for us all today. So I want you to think right now, if you want to move forward into your new careers, into your new workplace, into your new relationships, or maybe it's your own personal journey in your own life, how are you oriented today? Are you looking at the past for references? Are you looking at the past to say, hey, what has gone well? What has not gone so well? Or are you looking towards the future and say, hey, it doesn't matter about the past. I'm just going to look forward. I'm just going to move forward. I'm just going to take my time to get each step of the way. I'm going to shape my future. Or are you stuck right now in the quagmire and saying that, hey, I can't move forward until I get absolute clarity? So too often I hear people say this, Jedi, I need to get more clarity. I need to get more clarity before I can move on. Then I often ask them this one question. I said, hey, how much clarity is enough clarity for you to move on? Because if we are going to wait again and again and again for that clarity or for that enlightenment, we are never going to move forward. And we are just going to lose out the opportunities that are ahead of us. The secret and truth is this. Clarity will never be absolute. We will never have absolute clarity about the way ahead. Can we get some ideas? Yeah, we can. Now think about this. The orientation that we take or we have in place about our future progression has to do with the way that we see around us. So some of us say this, the way we can determine the future is by looking at the history's past, because history repeats itself. So that's the philosophy that we have in our minds. That is the heuristics that we have in our mind. So we think that what determines our past will determine our future. So as such, we are more inclined towards looking at our past results, our past successes, our past setbacks, and turning those around to help us move forward. But the truth is that the future, it's less predictable than the past, because the past is a linear timeline. The future, it's non-linear. Now, then how do we think about this? Well, for one, when we look at the past orientation, let me give you some helps here, right? When you think about the past orientation, are you asking questions like this? Okay, what have I learned about the past? Well, what were the past mistakes that I've taken? What were the past successes that I had? What were the past results that I had? What were the past competencies that I was good at? Maybe I can use those for today. Maybe I can use those to move forward. Well, the truth is this. Our past success doesn't determine our future. The truth is also our past failures also doesn't determine our future. So then what's the purpose of the past? Well, the past orientation does one very important factor. And that factor, it's what we call linear learnings. Linear learnings. Now, what do we mean by linear learnings? When we look at the past, we can't change the past. The past lingers in our minds, but you can't remember everything about the past because the past is like a Laplace transform. We only remember segments of the past that are significant enough, that's embedded into our psyche, that's embedded into our cognition. As such, one of the key factors when we look at the past, it's say this question, what can I learn about the past? What can I draw? What insights can I gain from the past that can help me to move forward in this conversation? So the learnings and insights of the past are needful, are useful. But we have to be very careful that the past is in the past. The past success, the past failures doesn't determine the future, but what it does determine is how we move forward from here. Because the step forward is the step toward. How we move forward will always show up in the future choices that we make. So many times we get paralyzed because we look at the past and it says, wow, there's so much things. I'm worried I make the same mistakes. We look at our future and we're worried, what if I don't get this? What if I don't get that? And I kind of stuck perplexed. I'm bewildered. I cannot move on. I'm not sure how to get forward in this. So too often because of that, we get left and right and hammered on both sides, and we feel very stressed to move forward. When we look forward in time, we get anxious. When we look backward in time, we get worried, we get fearful. So how do we then move forward? Well, the truth is this. We want to be able to look at the future and say, hey, the future is not just a singular pathway, but each node, each choice creates a new birth of new possibilities. So the future spans out like this, and each span creates new span and new opportunities. It's a Gallimaufry effect. It has so much richness in the future. So one of the secrets is this. Does the future hold the answers? Does the future hold the answers? Well, we don't need an absolute answer to this. But what we want to know is that the future holds the possibilities. The future is an endless supply of options and opportunities for us. But we have to make the choice today. Do we want to step in, or do we want to stay still? Because if we stay still, we are just in that moment. Now, is it important to stay still? Well, there is moments and there is a valid reason why sometimes we want to stay still, to reorientate ourselves. But after we stand still and we have calibrated ourselves, the next stage is to move forward. And the way to move forward is to ask ourselves one question: what it takes to move me forward. So what if it happens? So what if things don't go the way it should? So what if I make the same mistakes again? So today, we have a whole economy, a school education system telling children, teaching adults that don't make the same mistake twice. Well, that creates a sense of fear because the more people are afraid I might make the same mistake twice, psychologically, it impedes them from taking risk, it impedes them from taking innovative steps forward, it impedes them from just even trying. Because of this thought, I am afraid I might make a wrong choice. So you notice this. Because of this fear that grips the heart, we're not able to move forward. So one of the key considerations when we consider the future-oriented conversations is to consider that the conversations are not just linear. They are non-linear in the future, but they are very, very linear in the past because it's just one straight line. Now I'm going to show you also a little graph of how this journey unfolds, and I'm going to explain to you the different steps, and that will help you give light into the whole experience. Now here, we're going to explore the linear approach of coaching. So most of the time when we look at the linearity of coaching, it begins with a past, present, and future. So most coaches see the timeline very much like this, like a straight line, with the past way to the back, the present at this present moment, and the future. So often when we ask our clients, where would you like to be? They often would say, well, I want to get away from my past. I want to move away from my past. I want to get to my future. I want to create a more compelling future. However, one of the key challenges is that when we look at the future, the client kind of gets stuck because they're not sure whether that's the future that they want, or perhaps they're afraid that the future might come to pass, or perhaps they're afraid that the past might haunt them. So with all these varied ideas and thoughts around the past, present, and future, how can individuals move past the past? So the key secret is this. If we are coming from a linear approach, we will see the line as a very straight line. We see the past as one line and the future there's only one way out. And in our education systems today, we have been taught in schools to think about getting from school, from college, getting to a job, progressing up the ranks and skilling levels, and then after that subsequently get a relationship, get married, get settled down, get kids, and the whole cycle begins again. So when we look at our future, many people feel that it's kind of boring. The new generation feels that, hey, why is my future already determined by others? Why are my schools, why are the politicians, why is the government deciding for my future? I want to be able to plan for my future. I want to have the way I want it to be. I don't want it to be impeded by what others say. I want it to be on my own terms. Now, that is when we begin to shift from this linear approach. The secret is this. Too often as human beings, we like that uncertainty. If things are so certain, if we know exactly where to go, what to do next, then life becomes boring. So a bit of uncertainty is going to be useful for us. So you notice this, as a human being, we have different facets. Life has ups and downs. There's progress, there's regression. That sometimes we feel kind of stuck, sometimes we feel that there's a lot of growth, sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel down. But that's life. Life brings itself its non-linearity. If we try to squeeze it in a linear approach, no wonder we get stuck. So in the past, most of the time we hear people saying, if only this, if only that, if only I had done more, if only I had done well, if only I had taken the chance, if only I had put in more effort, if only, if only, if only. The frame of if only gets us stuck in the past. And it doesn't help us to move forward in that. However, when we take on the frame of the future, now we begin to see, what if? What if I had done that? What if I had put in more effort? What if I took that job? What if I started earlier? These are possibilities that have never been done. These are possibilities of, sometimes we call them missed opportunities, or we could call them possibilities that were never fulfilled. Because the future, although as many possible lines as they are, the future, once we step in, that very, very present moment becomes the past. It goes like this. The sequence of lifetime, it just moves. It moves in chronological order. But the future is not chronological. The future has multiple pathways. The past is chronological. So when we look at the past holds many regrets. When we look at the future holds many anxieties. We kind of feel worried, we kind of feel stuck. I'm not sure whether this will help me, I'm not sure whether that will help me. I'm kind of feeling really, really stuck about where I am right now. How do I move forward in this? Should I stay in the past? But I like my past success. Or should I go to the future? Because the future has so much more potentiality for me. As a result, we have a category of people who are kind of betwixt the past and the future. They're kind of stuck in the present moment. Because in this very present moment, they're kind of perturbed by what's happening around them. They want to move forward, but they can't. They want to move backwards, but they can't. It seems like every single side is just surmounting its pressures on the individual. So how do they move forward? How can they get forward in this? Well, the secret is to help them to reimagine what the future is like. The secret of linear thinking or linear approach to the future is to have an alternate non-linear future. And this is what it means, right? Having a non-linear approach to coaching, now we begin to see that the future is not a straight line. There are, in fact, many possibilities. Each possibility produces an endless stream of options, an endless stream of doorways, and endless streams of new possibilities, possibilities within possibilities. So yes, the past is just one straight line because it has happened. We can change the past. But what we can change and what we can control, it's how we determine the future. And each step of the way allows us to correct, allows us to adjust, allows us to re-navigate, allows us to rediscover, allows us to redistribute where we want to be. That's the beauty of the future. Now, when we consider this as well, we begin to think the past is in the past, it's a linear function. The future is a plenitude of possibilities, and it's a non-linear function because it's not a singular time. So when coaches begin to take on this hat, now we're radically changing the approach of coaching conversations. We're not limiting the client, we're helping the client see beyond themselves. We're helping the client see that, hey, there are possibilities within possibilities. You're not stuck at where you are. You're just undecided where you want to go. So let's take the step forward. Because you know what? No amount of clarity can help you to sort all the possibilities. We can be conscious of a few. The coach will be there to kind of stimulate new ideas, new insights, new possibilities, expanded ways of thinking about a situation. But as we consider all those principles, then now we realize something magical is appearing. That's the magic of conversation. So from the non-linear approach, we begin to see that the past holds treasures. The future holds discoveries. The past holds treasure, the future holds discoveries. The past is the extraction of learnings, the future is the insertion of actioning. That's the beauty about it. In the past, we can extract the learnings, we can draw insights, we can gain and extract all the beauties of the past. And when we look at the future, we begin to see, hey, how can I take the insights and the learnings I've gained today and apply them in the future? How do I use them every step of the way? How do I test them? How do I experiment on them? How do I enjoy each step of the way? So the non-linear approach of coaching begins to have this paradigm shift. I'm helping my clients to see, hey, you know what? The future is not just one pathway. It's not just a few pathways. It's endless pathways. And each pathway that you take spurs and explodes into new possibilities. So we're not restricted just to one. We have an endless option. And that's the beauty of coaching. The beauty of coaching is not in that singular path. The beauty of coaching is that there's so many different pathways that is awaiting for us. So in this non-linear approach of coaching, we begin to redefine, recalibrate the way we perceive the future. The future is no longer just a future of a single line. I want us to have this new mindset that the future is what I call Puture. Because the Puture orientation unravels the greatness within. So when our clients approach their desired outcome, how are they seeing themselves? Are they seeing themselves from getting from good to great, or is it something more? How are they oriented in the past? Are they looking for the past success and build from there? So too often organizations say, okay, let's look at the past. Let's look at the best practices. Let's look at let's do the same thing that we've done before. You see, if we do the same thing we've done before, it doesn't guarantee success. If we do the same thing again, it doesn't guarantee failure. What has failed in the past doesn't mean it will fail in the future. And that's when we got to have a paradigm shift. Because at the present moment, that's where we are processing all that information that we have. Yes, there are past success, there's past failures, there's past learnings. But I often say this, failures will remain a failure until we begin to turn it around for us as learnings. Success will remain a success until we turn it around for learnings. The day we start seeing success as success and we celebrate success all the time, something else creeps in. What we call ego. Ego begins to creep in. Ego is your greatest enemy. So you need to be able to shift that. You need to be able to pivot that. You need to be able to take a pivot shift, to move away from that sense to something else. And that's when we begin to see, hey, the past orientation has its merits. But that's not where we want to be. We want to move. We want to get from where we are to where we want to be. We want to say, hey, you know what? The current moment I enjoy the current moment, but I want to be able to move forward. So that's when we look at the present orientation. How are we looking at the present moment? Are we happy at where we are? If we're not, why? What are we doing? What are we not doing? What should we be doing? Why are we stuck in a quagmire? And when we look at the future, how does the future hold the answers? What if I make a wrong step? What if I make a wrong move? How do I get about all the different pathways? How do I move forward in this? So when we consider all this, I want us to begin to remember to look at it at the timeline, no longer as just a linear function, but a multitude of functions. In fact, in our program called Mastering Coaching, Team Leadership Coaching, that's when I explored it a bit more. But I have an upcoming program known as Timeline Coaching. Really exciting program. Now, if you want to know more how you can take part in that, do write into us. Say, hey, Jedi, I want you to coach me. I want you to help me overcome this matter. And I'm more than happy to engage you. More than happy to have you as one of my clients to really work with you through this whole journey. I've worked with many clients who are stuck in the present moment. Maybe there's something holding them in the past. And they say, Jedi, can you help me? Can you coach me? And I want to invite you on a coaching experience of how I can help you to overcome those areas of stuckness and to help you find your greatest breakthroughs. Well, you know why? Because I truly believe that coaching changes lives, and that is the beauty of coaching. Now, if you think that, hey, I really want to create a more compelling future, do not wait any further. Engage a coach. Go and engage a coach right now, right? I may not be the best coach for you. Find a coach that will work best with you. But if you engage with me, this is one thing that I promise you. Your life will never stay the same. You will extract the learnings, the possibilities of the past, the present, and the future, and you're going to move forward. Even to find out more about how you can engage me as your coach, just write into me at jedi@coachinggeniuslives.com and I'll be sure to hear from you. So this is something really important. I want you to remember one thing. We're going to shift from a linear approach to a non-linear approach in coaching by extracting learnings and inserting actioning. Now, one of the important things as we consider all this is that you must always remember that the Puture approach, it's one that helps to create more compelling world. Now, it's also important for us to realize is that we're not imposing our world on the client's world. We're helping to unravel the world within worlds. It's not so much about helping the client to know about my world, but it's about helping the client to realize about the perimeters of their world and helping them to see beyond the lens that they're seeing right now. And that's the beauty of future-oriented coaching. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up, share this with a friend, and leave a comment below so that I know what questions you have, and I'll create more such videos in the future. So until next time, this is Jedi here at Coaching Changes Lives. I'll see you really soon.